Have you ever met someone who radiates strength, but not in muscles or words, just in how they carry themselves through chaos? What if true strength isn't loud or visible at all, but lives quietly in how you recover, endure, and lead yourself through the storm? And what if the calmest person in the room isn't weak, but the strongest of all? There's a saying I keep close to my heart. Strength isn't always visible. You can't always see it in someone's appearance, the way they speak, or how they stand. Real strength runs deeper. It reveals itself quietly, when life falls apart and you choose to rise again. It lives in how you face setbacks, how you move forward, even after breaking down, and how you carry on. Without applause, without a spotlight, you may not realize it, but even in your lowest moments, when you feel like you're simply surviving, you're already showing an incredible form of strength. Getting through the day, even with heavy thoughts or unseen struggles, is not weakness. It's proof of resilience. And no, this kind of power doesn't come from lifting weights or faking a smile. It doesn't come from pretending everything's okay. It comes from something quieter, something stronger, persistence, resilience, that inner fire to keep going, even when no one is watching. In today's video, we'll explore 7 signs of true inner strength, inspired by the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy. These aren't flashy traits you can post on social media. They're practical life skills, invisible on the outside, but powerful within. And more importantly, we'll talk about how you can practice each one in your daily life, so that you not only endure, but thrive with clarity and peace. If this message resonates with you, consider sharing it. Send it to a friend who's quietly fighting battles, a loved one who needs reminding of their quiet strength, a colleague who shows up every day, no matter what. Sometimes a small reminder can shift everything. So, are you ready to uncover the quiet, powerful strength that already lives within you? Let's begin. 1. Emotional control. Picture this. You've poured weeks of effort into a project. Everything is aligned. And then, without warning, it collapses. Or worse, someone close to you lashes out unfairly. How do you respond? Most people would let emotion take the wheel. Anger, frustration, even despair. It's a natural reaction, right? But reacting in the heat of the moment rarely helps. In fact, it often leads to regret. Let me tell you a story. My boss, he's more than just a leader. He's a master of emotional control. I've seen him under pressure that would shake most people. There was this one time our project ran into a massive, unexpected setback. The team panicked. Some pointed fingers. Others froze. But him? He stayed calm. He didn't ignore the problem. He asked questions. He didn't lash out. He looked for solutions. His voice never rose, but his focus sharpened. He anchored the entire team. It's not that he didn't feel the stress. He just chose not to let it rule him. This is what emotional control truly looks like. It's not about bottling up your feelings. It's about mastering them, as the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." And now, as we move forward, let's look at the next powerful sign of inner strength. Just like Marcus Aurelius reminded us, your power lies in your mind, not in external chaos. And that brings us back to the first and perhaps most essential trait of inner strength, emotional control. Emotional control means focusing your energy on what you can change and releasing what you cannot. It's the stillness inside the storm, the clarity you find when everything else feels like noise. It's what transforms panic into purpose. Think back for a moment. How many times have you said something in anger only to regret it later? How many choices made in the heat of frustration led to even more problems? Emotions, while deeply human, can also mislead us when left unchecked. The Stoics understood this with profound clarity. Seneca once wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." To live with true freedom, you must be able to guide your emotions using reason, not let them drag you through life like a storm without anchor. But how do we do that? It starts small. The next time you feel frustration or anger bubbling up, pause. Just one breath, one moment of stillness. That pause, it's not weakness, it's power. In that space, you reclaim your ability to respond with intention instead of reacting out of impulse. Then ask yourself a grounding question. Is this within my control? The Stoics believed that clarity begins with this simple filter. If the answer is no, let it go. Release it without guilt. If yes, shift your energy from emotion to action. Solve instead of stewing. Another essential habit? Daily reflection. At the end of each day, take just a few minutes to revisit situations where your emotions took the lead. What triggered them? Could you handle them better next time? This quiet self-audit builds awareness, and over time, awareness becomes strength. Perspective also plays a vital role. When something upsetting happens, ask yourself, will this matter a year from now? Often, what feels enormous in the moment fades into insignificance later. Shifting your lens reduces the emotional weight of the present and helps you make wiser decisions. Now let's be clear. Emotional control isn't about being numb or robotic. It's not about denying feelings. It's about understanding them, guiding them, and showing up with calm, even when the world around you is anything but. And when you begin to master this, step by step, you'll notice something powerful. Life's problems won't seem as heavy. Instead of obstacles, they'll start to look like opportunities. Because true strength doesn't come from the absence of emotion. It comes from the wisdom to navigate it. And with that foundation of emotional resilience, let's move to the second vital sign of inner strength, taking responsibility. After learning to master your emotions, the next pillar of inner strength is just as powerful, though often harder to face, taking responsibility. Let's picture this. You've promised a colleague that you'll complete part of a report by the weekend, but the days slip by, other urgent tasks take over, and before you know it, the deadline's passed. Now comes the critical moment. What do? It's tempting to reach for an excuse. Maybe the workload was just too much. Maybe someone else delayed your part. Maybe things just didn't go as planned. But taking responsibility means doing the opposite, owning your mistake fully, without hesitation. You acknowledge what happened, you apologize, and you take clear steps to make it right. At first glance, this might seem like a minor act, but in truth, it reveals tremendous character. Taking responsibility isn't about being flawless. It's about how you face your flaws when they appear. It's not about perfection. It's about integrity. The Stoic philosopher Seneca captured this truth perfectly. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. Mistakes will happen. They mark the end of one path, and if you're willing, a new beginning of growth and wisdom. The real question is, will you grow from it or hide behind it? It takes courage to say, I was wrong. In a world that often rewards perfection, it can feel risky to be honest about our failures. But let's be honest with ourselves. Perfection is an illusion. We all make mistakes. We all fall short. True strength lies in facing those failures, learning from them, and moving forward without excuses. I once worked with someone who modeled this beautifully. She was leading a major project, high stakes, high visibility. An oversight on her part caused a major delay. She could have easily pointed fingers, blamed the system, the timing, the team, but she didn't. Instead, she called the team together, acknowledged her mistake plainly, and shared a clear, practical plan to get things back on track. Her honesty didn't make her look weak, it made her trustworthy. Her integrity inspired everyone around her, because that's what responsibility does. It builds respect, both from others and within yourself. When you take responsibility, you reclaim ownership over your life. You remind yourself that you are not at the mercy of external events. You are the author of your own story. Each misstep becomes a lesson, each challenge a chance to become wiser and more capable. The Stoics saw this clearly. Epictetus once said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When you live by this, you free yourself from the heavy burden of blame. You stop waiting for others to change and start shaping your own future with purpose. So how do you bring this into your everyday life? Start with the little things. If you forget to return a friend's call, don't offer excuses. Just apologize sincerely and follow through. If someone gives you honest feedback, resist. The urge to defend yourself, listen, reflect, grow. Taking responsibility isn't a one-time act, it's a daily choice. And with every choice, you build a stronger, more grounded version of yourself. Now that we've seen how powerful personal accountability can be, let's turn to the next quiet strength that Stoicism teaches us, embracing discomfort. So as we just explored, taking responsibility means owning your actions, both the missteps and the moments when you get things right. It's not just about facing failures, it's also about acknowledging your growth. When someone gives you feedback, pause. Ask yourself, is there truth in this? If there is, embrace it, use it, let it sharpen you. And if not, you've still grown because you listened and you considered instead of reacting defensively. But don't forget, responsibility isn't only about accountability for your mistakes. It's also about recognizing your wins, those moments when your actions made a positive impact, when your discipline, your honesty, or your patience helped someone else. This balance is powerful. It keeps you grounded. It allows you to improve without being crushed by self-doubt or inflated by ego. In life, you'll be offered countless moments where you have to choose. Will you blame or will you own? The easier road often leads to blame, to shifting the burden, avoiding the sting of truth. But the Stoic path, the path of strength, is harder and more rewarding. It's the path where you look discomfort in the eye and say, I can grow from this. Because when you take responsibility, you don't just become a better friend, partner, or teammate. You become a better version of yourself. You build resilience. You inspire trust. You create a life of meaning built on integrity and courage. In a world that often avoids accountability, those who accept it fully and fearlessly stand out. They become examples of what true strength looks like, not by what they say, but by what they do, word by word, action by action. Responsibility is the foundation beneath every strong life. And when you stand on that foundation, you won't be easily shaken, no matter what life throws your way. Now let's turn to the third quiet sign of true inner strength: facing fear. Fear. We all know its voice. It whispers doubts. It paints worst-case scenarios. It convinces us to play it safe, to step back when we should step forward. But the strongest among us don't run from fear. They meet it face to face. They don't see fear as an enemy, but as a teacher, a test, a stepping stone. Imagine this. You've been given the chance to speak in front of a large audience. Your heart races. Your mind spins with what-ifs. What if I mess up? What if they judge me? But instead of backing down, you breathe deeply and say yes. In that moment, you've chosen growth over comfort. You've decided that even if you fail, the experience is worth the lesson. You've stretched beyond who you were yesterday. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Other words, fear is often not about the thing itself, but how we see it. Our imagination turns obstacles into monsters. So ask yourself, do you have an exam coming up, a difficult conversation, a job interview? Fear will try to paralyze you by focusing your attention on what could go wrong. But those who are truly strong recognize this pattern and act anyway. Because real courage isn't about being fearless. It's about moving forward despite the fear. And with that in mind, let's go deeper into how to turn discomfort into your greatest training ground. So what happens when we keep moving forward despite the fear? That's when real strength is forged. Not just in big, life-changing moments, but in the everyday battles we often overlook. Imagine this. You're in a meeting. You have a thought, an opinion, but you hesitate. What if it sounds foolish? What if people judge you? The fear rises, but then you take a breath and you speak. Or maybe you've always wanted to try painting or dancing or learning a language. But another voice creeps in. What if I'm not good at it? Still, you pick up the brush, take that first step, and begin. These may seem like small moments, but each one is a victory over fear. And with every small act of courage, your inner strength grows. The Stoics knew this well. They believed in preparing the mind for difficulty long before challenges appeared. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Our minds build up fear into something monstrous. We picture worst-case scenarios. We freeze in anticipation. But the Stoic way is different. Instead of being paralyzed, we train ourselves to anticipate, adapt, and act. So, how do we do that? Start simple. When fear grips you, steady your breath. Inhale slowly. Exhale fully. This quiet act can calm the storm of anxious thoughts. Then, break the fear down. Whatever the challenge is, divide it into smaller, manageable steps. Bit by bit, you'll move forward, and the once intimidating task will lose its power. Remind yourself, discomfort is temporary, but growth is lasting. Facing fear doesn't mean you become fearless. It means you choose action despite the fear. Every time you do, you chip away at that mental wall, and in its place, you build confidence, resilience, courage. Because fear is often just a shadow, larger in our minds than it is in reality. And on the other side of that shadow, growth. As Epictetus put it, difficulties are things that show a person what they are. So the next time fear shows up, don't turn away. See it as an invitation, an opportunity to rise. Even if your next step feels small, take it, because with every step forward, you're becoming more of who you're meant to be. And now, let's turn to another powerful, yet underrated source of strength: embracing solitude. After learning to face fear with steady courage, we now turn inward to a quieter, more reflective form of strength, embracing solitude. In a world that constantly demands your attention, notifications, conversations, deadlines, choosing to be alone can feel uncomfortable at first. But solitude is not loneliness. It's not an absence to fear, but a presence to embrace. Where loneliness feels like a void, solitude becomes a sanctuary. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "He who is not satisfied with the little is satisfied with nothing." Solitude teaches you exactly that. To be content not by collecting more, but by discovering that you already have enough. It helps you find fulfillment within yourself, instead of endlessly chasing validation from others. In those quiet moments, you begin to rely on your own thoughts, your own wisdom. You learn to build strength that doesn't depend on external approval, a kind of resilience that no one can take away. And here's the crucial distinction: loneliness is craving connection. Solitude is choosing stillness. One drains you, the other restores you. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, captured it beautifully. Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. When you embrace solitude, you carve out space to think clearly, reflect deeply, and reconnect with your core values. It becomes a sacred pause, a chance to step back from the noise and align your actions with your principles. But let's be honest, solitude isn't always easy. It takes courage to sit with your thoughts, to face your doubts without distraction, to resist the urge to escape through noise or activity. But this courage pays off, because in this process, you begin to build emotional strength. You become your own source of reassurance, your own motivator, your own safe place. In solitude, you learn to calm your anxieties. You learn to celebrate your wins, not because others see them, but because you do. That's the kind of strength that lasts. And there's more. Solitude gives you clarity of purpose. When you step back from other people's expectations, you begin to ask deeper questions. What do you value? What kind of life do you want to build? Without the weight of societal noise, you start living in alignment with your own truth. This kind of authenticity is rare and powerful. It leads to lasting fulfillment, not fleeting approval. In today's fast-paced, always connected world, solitude can feel like a luxury. But to the Stoics, it was a necessity. It wasn't about withdrawing from life. It was about preparing for it, strengthening your inner self so you can better engage with the world around you. To embrace solitude is to embrace your own enoughness, to sit in stillness and discover that strength isn't something you chase out there, it's something you cultivate within. In solitude, there is peace, In peace there is clarity, and in clarity there is power. The kind of quiet power that allows you to face life's storms with unwavering grace. And now, let's explore another essential pillar of Stoic strength, practicing gratitude, even in the face of hardship. From the stillness of solitude, we find the inner clarity that empowers us to meet life's storms with grace. But what happens when those storms actually hit? That's where the next pillar of strength shines, staying positive in adversity. Let me tell you about my younger sister. She's one of the most quietly resilient people I know. No matter what life throws at her, a setback, a disappointment, even heartbreak, she meets it all with a calm smile and a kind of inner light that never seems to fade. She doesn't pretend everything's fine. She doesn't ignore pain or hardship. Instead, she chooses to face it with unwavering optimism. To her, every challenge is a chance to grow, a lesson waiting to be uncovered. And it's no surprise that people are drawn to her. Her warmth lifts others. Her mindset makes you pause and think, if she can carry herself like that, maybe I can too. Watching her, I often think, this is what real strength looks like. Staying positive in hard times doesn't mean wearing a fake smile or dismissing what hurts. It means focusing on what's still within your control, your mindset, your effort, your next step, and recognizing what's still good even when things aren't perfect. As Marcus Aurelius wisely wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This perspective is a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy and a powerful shift in how we experience life's challenges. Because adversity, that's inevitable. Life will twist, turn, and test even the strongest among us, but it's in those tests that you find out who you truly are. When you choose to stay positive in adversity, you change the narrative. You stop seeing yourself as someone at the mercy of life and start seeing yourself as someone who can write their own response. It doesn't erase the pain, but it transforms how you move through it. At the heart of this mindset is gratitude. Gratitude doesn't deny difficulty. It coexists with it. It reminds you, even here, even now, there are still things to be thankful for. Maybe it's a friend who stood by you. Maybe it's a lesson hidden in a failure. Maybe it's the simple fact that you made it through one more day. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing to what's meaningful. Another crucial ingredient is resilience. The quiet decision to get back up again and again. Every time you fall and choose to try again, you strengthen that muscle. Resilience teaches you that adversity is temporary, a storm that passes. It doesn't define you unless you let it. Seneca said it best, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Hardships shape us. They wear down what's false and surface level, and polish what's real. That's how inner brilliance is revealed, and when facing adversity, Stoicism reminds us of one more thing: stay present. Too often we replay the past or worry about the future, but strength lives in the now. Epictetus advised, do not seek for things to happen as you wish, but wish for them to happen as they do, and you will find peace. So how do we hold on to that peace, especially when life becomes overwhelming? That leads us to the next Stoic sign of inner strength, practicing self-discipline, even when no one is watching. Staying positive in adversity teaches us the power of presence, of being rooted in the moment instead of lost in what was or what might be. As Epictetus wisely said, "Do not seek for things to happen as you wish, but wish for things to happen as they do, and you will have peace." When you truly embrace the present, you lift the weight of the past from your shoulders. You silence the noise of future fears. What's left is clarity, an inner stillness where real strength can grow. But cultivating this mindset isn't automatic. It takes time, patience, intention. It means learning to reframe negative thoughts into challenges, not curses. It means choosing to focus on solutions rather than getting trapped in loops of worry or blame. It also means being mindful of who you allow into your mental space, surrounding yourself with people who lift you up instead of those who drain your spirit. And importantly, it means acknowledging your emotions. Yes, even the hard ones. Sadness, frustration, fear. They're natural. They don't make you weak. But they also don't need to control your actions. You can feel deeply and still act wisely. In the face of adversity, positivity is not passive. It's not pretending everything is fine. It's a conscious, courageous choice. A daily decision to move forward, even if just by one small step toward the light. So when challenges come, as they always will, remember this: the storm will pass. But what stays with you, what shapes you, is the perspective you gained and the strength you uncovered. Hold on to that truth. Let it become your compass in dark moments. And speaking of strength, there's one form of it that's often overlooked but absolutely essential: setting boundaries. Let's dive into what that looks like in practice. We just explored how setting boundaries is not about shutting the world out, but about protecting your energy, your peace, and your priorities. When you do this intentionally and with kindness, something powerful happens. I remember a close friend who was constantly overwhelmed. She was juggling work, family, friendships, trying to please everyone and say yes to everything. But over time, the pressure wore her down. She became exhausted, withdrawn, and frustrated. Then she made a simple but life-changing decision. She began setting boundaries. She politely declined commitments she couldn't manage. She started scheduling time for herself. Most importantly, she communicated her limits clearly, but with compassion. And the result? It was transformative. Not only did her energy return, but something else changed too. Her relationships improved. The people who truly mattered respected her more. They appreciated her honesty. Her no didn't push them away. It brought her closer to them because it came from a place of truth and balance. That's the quiet power of boundaries. They don't just protect your energy, they teach others how to treat you. When you set limits, you send a message. I value my time. I value my well-being. And I expect the same respect in return. Boundaries also bring clarity. When you know where your line is, what you'll accept and what you won't, decision-making becomes easier. You stop pouring your time into what drains you and start focusing on what feeds your soul. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Boundaries help you live that way, with clarity, purpose, and self-respect. Of course, practicing this kind of strength takes courage. There will be moments when others push back. Some might call you selfish or difficult. But here's the truth. You're not setting boundaries to hurt others. You're setting them to protect yourself. And the people who genuinely care about you, they'll understand, even if it takes time. So how do you begin? Start by paying attention to your energy. What leaves you feeling fulfilled? What drains you completely? Make note of the people, places, and commitments that energize you, and those that leave you feeling empty. Then, take one small step. Prioritize the things that lift you up. Create space for them. And when something doesn't align, learn to say no, with kindness, but with certainty. Communicate your limits clearly, and when they're tested, stand your ground. Because every time you do, you're not just protecting your time, you're protecting your peace, your joy, your sense of self. Boundaries aren't barriers, they're gateways to clarity, to balance, to meaningful living. They are a quiet but powerful declaration. My energy is valuable. My time is sacred. My peace is worth protecting. And when you've cultivated this inner strength, you begin to notice something. Else, you have more to give, not less. And that brings us to the next sign of Stoic strength, lifting others up and empowering your community. Once you've protected your energy and aligned your life with what truly matters, something incredible happens. You find yourself more able and more willing to lift others up, because when your cup is full, it overflows, and that overflow can become a source of strength for others. True, strength isn't just measured by how well you carry your own burdens. It's also revealed in how you help others carry theirs. Think back to a time when someone believed in you, even when you didn't believe in yourself. Maybe it was a teacher who told you you've got something special, or a friend who reminded you of your worth when everything felt like it was falling apart, or perhaps a mentor who challenged you to go further than you thought you could. That belief, simple but sincere, might have been exactly what you needed to keep going. That's the power of lifting others. When you support someone through encouragement, through listening, through simply showing up, you create a ripple effect. One small moment of support can echo through someone's confidence, their actions, even the way they show up in the world. The Stoics deeply understood this idea of connection. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "What brings no benefit to the hive brings none to the bee." In other words, we rise together. When you help others thrive, you're not just improving their lives, you're enriching your own. A community built on support becomes resilient, strong, and deeply connected, capable of facing storms that no one person could face alone. And here's something important. Lifting others doesn't always require grand gestures. It's not always about speeches or big acts of charity. Sometimes it's as simple as listening without judgment. Sometimes it's offering a kind word, a small reminder that they matter, that they're capable. I remember a time a few years ago. A colleague of mine was really struggling with a critical project. They were overwhelmed, doubting their skills, uncertain of the next steps. I could see the weight on their shoulders. Instead of standing back, I stepped in. We sat down. I listened. I offered clear, constructive feedback, not to take over, but to help them break the challenge into smaller, manageable parts. And slowly, piece by piece, we rebuilt the project. We refined each section together with care and patience. What happened next was more than a successful project. It was a transformation. My colleague didn't just finish the work. They gained a deeper confidence in themselves. Our professional relationship grew stronger, rooted in mutual trust and respect. That experience taught me something I'll never forget. Helping someone doesn't just lift them. It lifts both of you. It builds connection. It fosters collaboration. It creates shared victories that no one could have reached alone. And most importantly, it shows a kind of strength that's quiet but undeniable. Empathy, humility, presence. Because lifting others isn't about sacrifice. It's about seeing their potential even when they can't see it themselves, and reminding them that it's real. Epictetus once said, "Be helpful to those who are vulnerable, for you may one day find yourself in need of assistance." Supporting others is not just a gift you give, it's a practice that strengthens your humanity. And from that spirit of compassion, we arrive at one final powerful truth in Stoic strength: the discipline of consistency, the power of showing up day after day. From empathy and encouragement, we come to one of the most selfless forms of strength, lifting others by stepping back. Because sometimes true support means letting someone else shine. It means giving others space to lead, to succeed, to take the spotlight, without needing to stand in it yourself. Strong individuals don't crave constant recognition. They don't measure their worth by applause. Instead, they find deep fulfillment in the success of those they've guided, supported, or quietly stood beside. This kind of generosity of spirit is rare, but when it appears, it's transformative. It builds communities where success is shared, not hoarded, where collaboration replaces competition, where one person's win becomes a win for all, and it doesn't require grand actions to begin. Lifting others starts with small, intentional gestures. Celebrate someone's accomplishment genuinely, without envy. Offer encouragement when you see someone struggling, even if it's just a few words. Share your knowledge and experience, not to impress, but to empower, because wisdom doesn't diminish when shared. It multiplies. The Stoics deeply believed in this principle of shared humanity. Seneca once wrote, "No man can live happily who has regard for himself alone and turns everything to his own advantage." You must live for your neighbor if you would live for yourself. In other words, to lift others is to lift yourself. By contributing to someone else's growth, you build a legacy of strength that lives on long after the moment has passed, because ultimately, lifting others is an expression of your inner strength. It's a declaration that life is not a solo race, but a shared journey. It's a commitment to building something greater than yourself, a community where everyone can rise together, and in empowering others, you reaffirm something powerful. That connection, not isolation, is where true strength lives. This is the essence of lifting others, a quiet, courageous act that deepens trust, opens doors, and leaves a lasting impact. When you lift others, you rise with them. And now, as we draw this journey to a close, let's bring all these pieces together into one final reflection on what true inner strength really means in the Stoic life. So, after exploring how lifting others can elevate us all, let's bring everything together. Inner strength isn't something you find in a single moment. It's something you practice day by day, even in the smallest ways. When life throws challenges your way, pause and remind yourself, every setback is a stepping stone. Every difficulty is a doorway to growth. Even the moments that feel ordinary can be training grounds for resilience. And when you choose to help someone else rise, whether with your time, your words, or your presence, you don't just strengthen them. You strengthen the entire community around you. You become a spark that can ignite quiet strength in others. These Stoic practices we've explored: emotional control, personal responsibility, courage and fear, solitude, positivity, boundaries, and compassion, aren't just about surviving. They're about thriving with intention. They help you build a life of depth, purpose, and peace. And the best part? You don't have to do them perfectly. You just have to begin. One step, one breath, one choice at a time. So now I'd love to hear from you. How have you practiced strength in your own life? Have you faced a moment of adversity and come through stronger? What helped you endure or grow? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might be the exact encouragement someone else needs today. Let's learn from each other. Let's inspire one another. And together, let's keep growing stronger.